So let's do Panopticon 5-7, which is going to be a very like camping-oriented game because that's what Panopticon is. And this will be the last two games I'll do today. Alright, so Panopticon 5-7, no fingerprint. So going into this game, there are Purloin, Transfer, Swap, and Bug that are all hardtails, and you know the spy has to complete 5 of these 7 missions. So they have to complete at least 2 of those 4 hardtails. And they're almost always going to do Contact, Inspect, and Seduce, so you know they're going to complete exactly 2 hardtails. So if you guard even just 3 of them, and you do it well, you're gonna win as Sniper. It's tough to do, which is why this is a fair game, but that's the general idea, right? You look at the Ambassador and swapping statues and Purloin, and if you don't miss anything from those, you win the game. That is all. The reason I'm doing replays is that it allows me a lot more time and mental energy to like explain stuff. I also play the game not too much on stream because playing the game is very stressful and streaming is stressful, and the combination is but yeah, I just really enjoy doing replays. Like most of my time spent playing this game is spent practicing sniping, which is kind of weird, and I think it's mostly a new player thing to do because replay sniping was introduced not too long ago. But I think it's an excellent way to get better. If you want to get better, just like download replays from the competitive league and snipe against replays. You're not playing against anybody, so there's like no stress. But you get better because you're playing against people who are trying to beat someone else, but you get their replays, so you get to beat them. It's great. It's wonderful. All right. 5 of 7, no fingerprint. 232. 1 something 3. Goodness. Okay. I was not looking at the Ambassador for the first like 10 seconds. 232 1 something 3. This guy could have swapped. I have a slight suspicion that Red Dress microfilmed, but I'm terrible at seeing microfilm, so I could just be wrong. God, now Blondo is at the same statue. But I don't think Blondo would... Actually, Blondo would swap because that would be a good way to frame a green. Whatever. That was a... Wait. I'm pretty sure that's terrible briefcase from Bondo, which is this guy here. Right, so 122. So I think it's Bondo just because he returned the briefcase just obviously incorrectly as far as I know. But I could be completely wrong about that, so I'm obviously not going to shoot yet because he has to complete 5 missions. So Bondo is at suitcase. And by suitcase I mean statue. I don't know how I confuse those two. Words are hard. That was a weird path from Bondo. And then Yellow Danger bugs and gets shot. Oh, a Purloin happened as well, which I completely missed. Interesting. So, as a sniper game, there's not much I can say about that because I was kind of on the wrong track. So we'll analyze the spy game and see what we can get out of it. I'm a bit surprised that he didn't go for a Seduce there, because seducing at bookshelves is generally a good idea, and snipers are not going to ever track that on Panopticon. He instead just did center statue for the triple inspect, which is kind of dangerous, right? It's an early center statue, so you're going to be under suspicion for the entire game. It's not a terrible decision, and you have to do it some percentage of the time at high levels. So I'm not opposed to it. At this point, he's just planning on what he's going to do next. Interesting. So the waiter offers a drink without Kikar summoning Toby, and then he goes for a Purloin. He hits a green test, which is really good for him. But here's the thing. The sniper is looking here. The sniper is looking literally over his shoulder. Okay, the sniper was panning over at the time he started the action test. And then it's literally on him at the time he does the action test, which very fortunately turns out to be green. If the list is fading here, Kikar gets shot basically every time if the sniper is paying attention to Purloin, which he should be doing. I don't like that decision to Purloin there just because it's just not a good position or time to do it. And it's pretty obvious he wasn't planning on doing it because he didn't summon Toby over, right? Toby just happened to offer him a drink and he was like, I guess I'll Purloin now? So it was a snap decision on his part because the opportunity wasn't there until Toby literally offered him the drink. And it's just a bad position to do it because you're out in the open and Toby is going to turn his tray to one side or the other as soon as you take a drink. And the tray will be in view of the sniper. So like the sniper is even going to be able to see the list fade out, which allows him to deduce whether it's a white test or a green test. All of that is moot because he ended up just getting a green test, which was good for him. But it's still really dangerous to do that. If you don't hit a green test, you're dead like 9 times out of 10. And as it turns out, the sniper probably like tracked the fact that he rejected a drink, which is why he got killed for the green test and for the bug later. Alright, so the list is gone here. So what's going through the sniper's mind, right? At the time the list disappears, where is Toby and where is the sniper? Alright, so it's offered to a double agent and the double agent takes a drink. And when the sniper next looks at the tray, the list is gone. And he very clearly sees it. If the sniper's paying attention, it's yellow danger or somebody who rejected before yellow danger. But it's still very, very likely yellow danger. So as the spy, you're not winning this game, right? It's down to you and maybe possibly somebody else, and possibly nobody else if the sniper knows who rejected before you. But the sniper doesn't shoot yet because he doesn't have to. He just has to wait for you to do more things before he's ready to shoot. As a spy, you don't know that though. You don't know if the sniper knows that it's you yet, so you don't know how much suspicion you're under. But even so, you were at center statue, and the sniper definitely knows that you rejected a drink, and the sniper almost certainly knows that the list is now gone. So it's pretty safe to say that you are a high suspect, and you should play out the rest of the game with that knowledge, right? You should figure out, how can I best win this game given that I'm going to be looked at pretty closely? And that's a very difficult question to answer. But it's very important to be able to answer it, because you're going to be in that position a lot in this game. As it turned out, his plan was to walk next to the ambassador and bug. And this is a good place to do it, right? So here's the thing. So here's sniper perspective for this bug. That's not a terrible decision. I think the main problem was that it was a wrong arm bug, right? If it was a right arm bug, that would actually be really hard to see. But it was a wrong arm bug, which means that at this moment in time, it's pretty obvious you're bugging. I mean, not many people win games against me, Nor. You're not alone. Alright, so what could he have done better? Alright, so what he did was a walking bug. He pressed the bug button here, right, when he is still walking. I think it would have been smarter to do a conversation bug. And the reason is, if you do a conversation bug, it'll be your left arm and not your right arm. Your right arm can be seen right now. Your left arm literally cannot. Right? Like, unless a sniper is literally doing this, he's not going to be able to see your right or your left arm. And even if he can't see your left arm, it's super difficult to see if you're actually bugging, right? If you do an in-conversation bug, it's literally just going to be invisible here. Right? By doing a walking bug, it's going to be a wrong arm bug because the left part of your, because the right part of your body is on the same side as the ambassador as you're starting it. So it's going to be your right hand that does the bug. And when you turn to sit in the conversation, the sniper is going to be able to see this arm. So the problem with this bug is that he did it too early. He should have done it after he was in the conversation, right here, instead of doing it while he was walking in. And then I think it would have worked out. It was still pretty tough to see, and I don't think he would have gotten shot for it necessarily unless the sniper had previously seen the whole business with the purloin. And even if he did it correctly, he still would have been more suspicious for sitting next to the ambassador like this. But I think with proper execution of this bug, he might not have gotten shot here. which is better than I can say for this game. And that's that game of Panopticon. Alright, now let's do the last game for today, which is going to be switched around, same layout, no fingerprint on Panopticon. I'm also relatively bad at Panopticon because I'm somewhat more of a behavioralist than a camper, and this is very much a camping map. But that's okay. Alright. 312-232. Ambassador's in a very nice position because I'm not going to have to look at him. 312-232. Ambassador at middle statue. What on earth did Blue Dress just do? I don't think that was correct behavior by Blue Dress, so I'm going to be watching her very closely. Blue Dress has a fingerprint. Red Dress has statues. All of my highlights are going to be for statues, except for her, which is going to be a fingerprint and general suspicion from what appears to be bad behavior. She talks pretty quickly in that conversation, so I'm going to pair her with Blue Danger. So the blues are together. Penguin could have bugged. Offered a red dress. Green plaid at statues, 232, 312. Red dress rejects with a walk away. Red dress walks in this conversation too. Blue dress walks out. To a statue. It's not the same one as Ambassador was at, so she's not getting a fingerprint with this. This is her first statue visit. Yellow Danger with a fingerprint. Green plaid at her second statue visit. Or was that first? I think it's second. Green polka dots walks out of that statue immediately afterwards, so I'm going to watch for a green swap. There's not a green swap. Red dress at statues again. All of my highlights have statues done, except Blue Dress, who only has 2. Green plaid going to statue is interesting. I was not watching Ambassador very closely in there. That's a problem. Offer to Yellow Danger. That was 232, now it's 233. So green plaid is the suspect. Let's see. Well, it has to be one of my highlights, because it was somebody who visited that statue. Blue dress with the second fingerprint now, and she was at that statue. She doesn't bug, though. Interesting. It was polka dot. Okay. I don't know if I would have won that game. Oh, did he just purloin? Yeah, so he had just purloined when that shot went off. He had literally just purloined. Right? If the sniper had waited literally like 3 seconds and saw the list gone, he would not have lost with this shot. But he lost with this shot. Alright, so I was on the right track in that I knew it was one of my highlights. Polka dot was one of my highlights, I'm pretty sure. I can't actually check that right now. Yeah, please pick Panopticon versus me. I'm terrible at it. Yeah. So I noticed that the statue had changed, so I knew that it was somebody who had been to statues. Let's see, when was he at statues? I just want to make sure that I actually noticed him. Yeah, he was highlight for statues. So I knew it was like one of 4 people, because there were like 4 of my highlights that I thought had been to that statue or could have been at that statue. And he had, at the time, completed 2 missions and was just purloining, which I did not get the chance to see yet, so I don't know how quickly I would have noticed it. I hadn't noticed the offer, but I may have noticed it gone and been able to narrow things down further based on that. So I don't know if I would have won that game. I think I was like slightly ahead of the sniper because he was one of 4 suspects and still had a bit more stuff to do. But I'm not sure I would have actually won the game. And against a Gold League player, that's a fine thing, right? Like I'm happy with that sniping performance against him. So one thing I want to check real fast is Blue Dress's behavior. Okay, so what I thought had happened was I thought the Blue Dress was in the middle pad, but she was actually on the left pad. So what I thought happened was like he was on the middle pad and then walked away before the ambassador had actually picked up that statue, when the correct behavior would have been to pick up that statue and force the ambassador away. But she was actually on the left pad. And since she was on the left pad and somebody already had the statue, she correctly walked away to do something else. So I was wrong about my suspicion on her from that. So let's try to figure out why Green Flag got shot. So presumably, let's see. Presumably, he had seen the swap. Let's see, when did he see the swap, actually? That would be a useful thing to know. So the swap occurred, swap was pending, and then it happens. Okay, so Green Plaid did the swap as the green swap. And he noticed it there. So at this point, he knows that it's either Green Plaid or whoever was at the statue previous to Green Plaid. So who does he lowlight in response? He keeps polka dot highlight. And he ends up shooting for a second statue visit immediately afterwards. Which is lucky for the actual spy. I'm surprised he took that shot. Because Banana Bread has not happened. And if you're keeping careful enough track, neither Green Plaid or Polka Dot had been to a single bookcase, I don't think. And even if they'd been to one, they haven't been to two. So it's so hard for them to be done with missions here, because Banana Bread hasn't happened in Panopticon 5 of 7. Like, whoever the spy is, even if it is Green Plaid, they're almost certainly not done with missions. So there's no reason to shoot, because you're not at risk of losing the game yet. Right? Like, I think it's correct for the sniper to wait, unless the sniper just has not been paying attention to either bookshelves or the ambassador and thinks that both of those might be done. Because you can also see that the guest list is still there, right? You literally know at this point in time that Purloin has not been accomplished, even though it's checked here, like it literally happens like as he's going in to shoot. So at the time he takes a shot, he doesn't know the list is gone yet. So like at this time when he decides to shoot, the list is still there. Banana Bread has not happened, right? When you shoot here, you are saying, I believe that Green Plaid could have bugged, could have microfilmed, definitely swapped, could be done with inspects, which to be fair is definitely done, and could be done with seduce, right? All 5 of those things have to be true to justify this shot. And the fact that only 2 of those things have actually been done means that either you're wrong about those things or you're not keeping careful track enough of those things, right? You're not keeping careful enough track to know whether or not stuff like bookshelves or bug could have been done by now. So I don't like this shot for that reason. Like, he correctly deduced which 2 people it could be, these 2 highlights. The actual spy and the subject of the green swap. But I think the pressure got to him and he shot for the second statue visit too quickly. There's not yet a need to take the shot, and that lost him the game. Because if he had waited, he could have gotten more information between Green Polka Dot and Green Plaid and made a better decision on which one actually is the spy. And now let's analyze spy play. Actually, let's re-chat, because I haven't read it in a while. So he sits in AI control until he ends up somewhere inside a circle? No. Okay. So he takes control from the AI so that he ends up in blue bookcase instead of this conversation circle or statues or the window. I think that's okay. Alright, so one thing the sniper can do is the sniper can mark books. So the sniper, like, moves his laser over the book and then presses left click, I think it is on Panopticon. And then the book becomes blue from the sniper perspective. And that is one of the ways in which the sniper can keep track of who has which color book, so that the sniper can see whether somebody puts a book back in the wrong bookshelf, which is the transfer microfilm mission. And I think what James saw here is that the laser is over my body, so he's almost certainly marking this book. Thus, doing microfilm is relatively risky because the sniper has devoted his mental energy to marking my book, right? So he sees me at blue bookshelves, he's literally marking my book as blue, so completing microfilm is a dangerous thing to do here, so I'm not going to do it. Which is why he ends up just putting the book back, because he knows that actually doing microfilm is a bad idea, purely because the laser was over him when he took the book. It's now 45 seconds in and he hasn't done anything, but at least he does something here. So that was a bad conversation entry, I'm pretty certain. Right? The correct path would be to walk around your seduction target and here, which is also incorrect because the shortest path would have been just to go in from this way. So this is kind of interesting. I think as he was walking around, he saw that this location right here was too tight. Like, AIs will not path here because there's just not enough room between those two. So he said, well, I still want to be in this conversation circle, but now I have to go here. And the problem with going here is that taking this long way around is not proper behavior. AIs would just walk the short way there. So at this point, there's no good way to enter this conversation because this is too tight of a place, and if you go here, it's the wrong path. He still decides to do it because catching this kind of pathing error is really tough for snipers to do, but he did this with the knowledge that this is not proper behavior, and he chose to take the risk of the sniper noticing that, with the trade-off that he gets to do a seduce right now. And there's such a low risk that the sniper's actually going to see it that I think that's perfectly fine. The downside is that his seduction target immediately leaves the conversation, so being in this conversation actually doesn't do anything for him now, but that's just luck. Yeah, I have personally never seen somebody return a guest list in an SCL match, and I'm going to assume that nobody is ever going to do it until I can confirm that somebody actually has. Alright, so now he's like, I still want to get the seduction done, god damn it. And he walks in and does it. So he's in a difficult spot now because he's a minute and a half into the game and he has done a single positive game action, right? He has done a green seduce from close range with like 3/8 of his time expired. That's not great for him. He's going to have to like do fast things to get the rest of his missions done. But so long as he plans out, I have to do one thing every 30 seconds or so, that's fine, right? Like, he has not slow played up to this point because he was planning on slow playing to lose suspicion. He has slow played up to this point because he's gone for opportunities and they just haven't worked out, right? He went to a bookshelf and then saw that microfilm probably wasn't going to happen, so he just put the book back. And then he walked to a seduction target, but his seduction target bailed on him, so he couldn't do it. Like, he's been trying to do missions this whole time, so I'm fine with his decision-making so far. This is not a case of being short on time because you just weren't sure what to do, so you didn't do anything. This is a case of being relatively short on time because the game didn't go your way. And that'll happen, right? Like, this is fine. Actually, that's a chat command, so I should probably use it. Hey. So now he's coming up with a plan. He sees I'm kind of short on time, and it's mid-game, which is relatively, like, the least likely time for swaps to happen. So he says, I'm going to do a swap. Let's see. Okay, so what happened here is he sees blue dress at this statue. So he sees blue dress at right statue. He knows he's short on time, so he wants to do missions that are relatively quick to do. And he comes up with a plan to swap that statue, right? So at the time he picks up the statue, it's immediately after blue dress leaves, and he does the swap as soon as his hand touches the statue. If this was a white swap, then it would have pretty much perfectly replicated a green swap from blue dress. Excuse me. And this actually confused me when I was sniping because I thought this might have been a green swap by blue dress. I ended up being incorrect, but hey, that's fine. So this is good, right? Because even if the sniper catches this, he's not going to be sure whether it was blue dress or polka dot, so you're not going to be directly shot for it. And if you get a green swap, then it's even less suspicious because then it's even less likely the sniper's going to notice things. And it'll be down to whoever picks it up next and you. So I like this decision to go for this, right? If you hit a white, then it could look like a green from somebody else. And if you hit a green, then it could look like a white from the next person. So I like this decision as well. And it ends up being a green test. So the next person to pick up the statue will be the one to actually swap the statue. He then proceeds with his second flirt, which I can already see is not going to go well for him. As he starts his flirt, and then blue danger leaves again. So that sucks. So he's gotten unlucky with flirts. But that's fine. He still has enough time to complete everything. And then the statue gets swapped by green plaid. And James does an interesting thing here. He walks to the left statue as this statue gets put down. So at the time the sniper notices that this statue gets swapped, right? At the time the sniper is like, hey, wait a second. Something is different here. James is literally right here, right? So this is something you can do as a spy. You can like be near something suspicious, but in a place where you could not have done that suspicious thing unless the sniper was paying really close attention, right? Like the sniper in his mind could just think, okay, polka dot was somebody who has been to statues. And then he looks at this and says, well, a statue swapped, so it could be somebody who was at statues. But maybe in my head, I think polka dot has been at statues just because she went to this left statue, right? So this is a good way of trying to confuse the sniper, right? Confuse the sniper's like internal memorization of who has been to statues and who hasn't by being at this statue at the time that this statue has changed, right? I'm not sure that I like explained that correctly, but I think you get what I'm going for, right? I like this decision because you get to finish inspects and you do something that makes it, I think, less likely that you will be pinned for having done this swap. As it turns out, he does get marked for it, and this particular sniper Kikar does know, based on his lowlights, that it was either polka dot or green plaid. But I still really like the decision from the spy's point of view. He gets a white test, so he is now exactly one flirt from finishing that mission. And he requests a drink. So at this time, he says, I want to do a purloin, right? He's requesting this drink with the plan of purloining. Then he does the purloin. And the shot happens, but we're not going to care about that right now. So he does the purloin. The problem with this purloin is that it's right here, right? This is a really kind of bad spot to do this purloin because it's really open. The tray is in view at all times, and you are in view at all times, right? It's very common for somebody to do a purloin like behind this pillar or behind this pillar in this conversation circle, because like that's tough to see. If somebody is like here and does a purloin with Toby here, it's tough to see. So this isn't like a great spot in this conversation to do it, but given the time he has left and the fact that he's hoping the sniper will still be like trying to figure out stuff about the swap, I think it's a good time to do the purloin. I think it's a good decision just like with the time you have left to do the purloin. I don't really like the position, but overall I still think it's a fine decision. And then we don't get to analyze anything more because the sniper did this and lost the game. So yeah, the sniper took too fast a shot. I think the spy play was perfectly fine. I am happy with what the spy did at all points in this game. Like, it wasn't perfect, but nobody is. And I think the sniper just shot too quickly because you know contact hasn't happened, you know purloin hasn't happened by this person at least. And it's so hard for this person to be done with everything else unless you've literally been sleeping the entire game. So bad shot, good spy play. The correct person won this game. Good job, everyone.